What's up, y'all? Welcome back. I'm Richie here with Jesus,
Hi.
and today we're going to be reacting to a video in regards to aquariums in malls. Now, this is the first time I hear of this. Jesus, have you ever heard of this?
In aquarium and malls?
Yeah, something like that. It's kind of
I
like
mean, I've been in malls where there have been some aquariums, but that's not around as much anymore.
I don't think I've ever been to one. Maybe, yeah, but I have been to aquariums and I've been to malls, but I've never been to one where it has both. But we're gonna be watching that, reacting, and giving our commentary in regards to the controversies and a lot of the time, a lot of the abuse that is found in these places. So we're gonna be adding the video and the channel in the description. So make sure you check out the original video, check out the original channel, and if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to our channel. Let's get right into it.
So to start off with, the SeaQuest location in Littleton, Colorado closed down in February of this year, 2024. In a social media post, they announced they would be closing. According to the CEO, Vince Covino, the most important thing is profit, so I guess it just wasn't profitable anymore.
Profit margin is the bottom line. Literally, it's the bottom line. Is how much money am I making?
But in SeaQuest's statement, they did say they will still continue to operate in states where their interactive business model is supported. And it doesn't surprise me that they didn't feel supported in Colorado, because the Colorado Fish and Wildlife were probably the most strictest on them out of all of the states they're located in. They revoked their license at one point and didn't let SeaQuest get away with as much as other states have. And in a separate post, SeaQuest had this to say for what was going to happen to the animals at the closed down location.
During this transition, we will be safely relocating our animals. Their care and well-being remain an utmost priority for SeaQuest.
But that was questionable, because when the location in Trumbull, Connecticut closed down in August 2023, it didn't seem like the animals were much of a priority at all. SeaQuest currently has 7 locations, but when they were at their peak, they had 10 locations. And whenever a location would close down, all of the other locations would absorb the animals from the closed down location. But for over a month after the Trumbull location had been closed down, a whole bunch of animals were left behind in the mall. Apparently weather caused the big delay of transferring the animals, and the USDA media contact said that SeaQuest cancelled their license on September 8th, before the animals had been transferred. That meant that they weren't under USDA regulation anymore. So basically there was no longer any sort of regulatory authority overseeing these animals to ensure that they were relocated safe and sound. But I'm sure some of those animals would have much preferred to have stayed in that mall than to be sent to another SeaQuest. Not only are the conditions horrible at all of the SeaQuest locations, but just the transportation of the animals is very risky. When SeaQuest was transporting a capybara in a dog carrier in the open bed of a pickup truck with a tailgate that didn't close, the capybara managed to escape and jump out of the moving vehicle. It was badly injured, and SeaQuest was fined $100 because of that. And thanks to some leaked audio from a meeting with Vince, he said that a sloth arrived to them on its deathbed after transportation and then died shortly after.
We lost the sloth last night.
What? New Jersey?
Yeah. He came in on his deathbed.
And according to these text messages between staff members, a capybara died in a U-Haul due to extreme heat conditions. So fortunately, the animals from the closed down Littleton, Colorado location weren't going to be transported to another SeaQuest location. The Denver Zoo rescued over 100 animals from that location.
SeaQuest in Southwest Plaza closed earlier this month after many citations and complaints over animal treatment and injuries to customers. But that left all the animals there in need of a new home. The Denver Zoo rescued about 130 of them. You're looking at some of the pictures of them.
They announced on their social media that they are proud to have rescued the animals from SeaQuest, which received multiple citations and concerns around animal welfare and injuries to customers. And SeaQuest was not happy about that announcement. They took to their social media to say that a zoo partner made a false public statement, implying that they had abandoned their animals and they were forced to step in and help. SeaQuest then explained their side of the story. They said they had to close after not being able to financially recover from COVID, and while some of the animals they had were worth $6,000 to $12,000, they decided to donate them to the Denver Zoo. They also said the truth is that SeaQuest animals receive top-of-the-line husbandry care, and they said their animals will never need to be rescued. But in actuality, a lot of their animals do need rescuing. While all of the locations have similar problems, I am now going to get into some of the ones at the Folsom, California location.
So right before he gets into the California one, so far, quite a bit to take. It's not shocking, just because I think throughout time there's been countless documentaries, there's been countless attention brought to a lot of these type of places, whether it's aquariums, whether it's zoos, shelters, PETA, like all these different organizations that are supposed to be taking care of, different species of animals and giving them shelters and all this. But there's no denying that a lot of it's more for entertainment. Because if like aquariums and zoos, there's a lot more attention being put into the performance of the animals and, what animals are people coming to, see and all that. And it sounds like this aquarium mall SeaQuest place is no different. And it is, again, it's not shocking, but it's still pretty fucked up. The fact that you're having these animals that you're supposed to be transporting them to give them a better place, and so many of them are dying. Now, I understand that. I mean, I ain't no animals expert, but I understand that things are gonna happen, especially with transportation and things like that. I found it a little bit cool. I don't know about what you think, but kind of cool the way that the guy was talking about in the leaked audio about the sloth or the capybara that no, it was a sloth that didn't make it alive. It was kind of like, yeah, he arrived on his deathbed. It's just like, but these are people who are supposed to be given a better place of and a better living for a lot of these creatures. At least that's what we're told as the public to believe so. But then you hear a lot of these cases where it's exposed. It's it's up. I mean, they're living beings. I get that that's just the life in the wild, but when we're claiming that we're trying to help them and we're trying to give them better places to live and better lives to live, especially if they're in danger or they're not healthy or whatever it is, I would expect that that effort is being put in to actually taking care of them and preventing what the video later talks about, so many different injuries, so many different deaths of animals that happen because just, I don't know, lack of care or neglect from these places that are supposed to keep these animals safe. But because again they're putting more on the entertainment part, more how many visitors can interact with these animals, and not really putting the animals' well-being first, where it's a lot of these animals are coming from the wild and they're not supposed to be interacting with human beings, or just the way that their environments are within these places. It's horrible. And a lot of these animals, as if you guys check out the entirety of Sid's video, you'll see a lot of the examples that he's going to give about SeaQuest, where a lot of these places, the habitats, they're falling apart, and the animals are eating some of the pieces from these habitats. And a lot of the time too, a lot of these animals are pretty much being starved. So these animals are having to either depend on like the visitors to be fed, which is always a great idea, you know. Um, or these poor animals are just having to, you know, eat whatever piece of, I don't know, their habitat is falling apart, and they end up, you know, eating it. What do you think, Jesus?
All of this reminds me of the SeaWorld case that went on like a long time ago with like the endangered whales and stuff, just to a much about the same extent, you know. I don't think I'm personally shocked that these places are not treating their animals very well. I've heard times that these places themselves are understaffed and just underfunded, and especially when you have like what was happening, where if one place shut down, another place would just get its animals, and again, like you would start to see a lot of like the structural impacts on the habitats and on the workers and just on the animals themselves too, because it's like the conditions are horrible. And obviously, as he said too, he got DMs from former workers who worked at SeaQuest or one of these SeaQuest locations, and they were all willing to tell him how bad it was. So it's clearly not like a one person's noticing this experience, like multiple people will notice.
If you guys check out the entirety of the video, because we're only gonna really touch on that. I mean, it's like case after case after case after case, but I kind of wanted just to like touch a little bit about what the video is about and then give our commentary. So make sure you check out the entirety of the original video. But within the video, he gives all these examples. I think it's like over 80 different workers from I believe like across different SeaQuest locations throughout I believe it's the U.S. That are giving these testimonies, both former as well as current workers, and a lot of them are being forced to sign like NDAs. Some of them, I think there was a leak. Somebody like a mold. Somebody ended up letting the owner of SeaQuest know that it was one individual in particular that was kind of like spearheading like the entire movement. I think on Facebook, and the dude was like, we're going to cease and desist, um, and trying to like silence like a lot of these people that are coming out to speak on it. I mean, one, two, three, maybe workers that might be, I don't know, resentful or whatever, that's understandable. But when you have like dozens of people who are both working for or work for these places that are saying the exact same thing, and it's horrible. Some of these testimonies of the way that these animals are neglected and treated, I I kind of lean a little bit more for to believe them than the person that's kind of benefiting and profiting of these animals. Because like I said at the beginning, and this is kind of where I want to leave off of, where it's, to me, a lot of these places seems more of the entertainment. How, obviously it's not like, hey, look at this monkey, look at this lizard, look at, for free, like you're profiting off of it. And it's also on, society, that people want to go to these zoos, aquariums, wherever, and they want to see or interact with these animals. And again, I think out of, I don't know, naiveness or whatever you want to call it, we as a public, we're not always aware of a lot of these treatments that is happening behind closed doors within these places, where we're believing like, they're giving them shelters, they're giving them good lives, and in reality a lot of the time they're not. And I get that there's going to be cases where some stuff is out of their control, but some of these things seem to be purposely being done, or at least we're not put in the care and time to actually, making sure that these animals are okay.
Mind you, there's like a lot of articles written, I'll put some down in the description, about the effects of enclosures and zoos on animals' mental and their health.
Yeah.
So it's like, I can't imagine like what those animals must feel.
So not to leave on a sad note, but I think it's important as a public, especially if you care for animals, if you care about these places, and you care about the well-being of these animals, to do our due diligence and look into it and see however we can help, and speak up, advocate for these animals. If you're an animal lover, to speak up if you know that there's something going on, and support whatever movements are out there to help make sure that these animals are actually being taken care of the right way. So with that being said, make sure to check out the original video. Check out the channel, Sid Dwyer, D-W-Y-E-R. Jesus will include in the description. Make sure to like, share, and add in the comment section what you guys believe. And yeah, make sure to subscribe to our channel. We'll see you guys next time. Take care.